Yeah, thumb wasn't as good this time.
Cool, we are live.
Oh, to the world again.
So we'll just give it a few minutes for people to roll in.
It even says we're live.
I know it's good. It's because I've set it up properly
Yeah.
this time through YouTube rather than, um, yeah, there's the ins and outs of it. I'll explain at some point when we're not on stream.
With the title being his 10th any good, you're obviously not expecting anybody to come.
Oh, I mean, everyone will come because 10th is good.
But they already know it's good.
But do they? Do they truly?
Ah, Bud's here.
Here we go.
Drunk Simeon. You've got to love that name.
Trunks. I'll do it.
Ah, yes. Did you remember to turn off the delayed chat?
I have turned it off as far as I'm aware. People let us know if the delayed chat is off. You'll know because you'll just be able to spam messages. So, hello to Liam. Hello to Drunk Simeon. Just let us know where you're tuning in from in the world. We're going to give it a couple of minutes and then we will start flying off the handle.
Your little orc's head is very big on the screen.
My what, sorry?
On mine, the picture is somewhat condensed.
Oh, give me a moment. Shouldn't have done that. No, it looks fine to me.
Orc's head is very
So
big
that's
on the screen.
audience. What are we seeing, team? Are we seeing a condensed head with just a little bit, or is it showing up fine?
Oh, what the hell's it done that?
The benefits of modern technology.
It's always good when you get it right the week before.
Yeah,
Don't
exactly,
change anything, and
Yeah,
it just
yeah.
like
Doesn't work.
decides to completely change.
Week 2, all of the improvements, everything's broken.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, even go to second slide. Yeah, that's not brilliant. Why is that not working?
Probably the same reason my microphone didn't work.
Just give that a try. That should change in a moment.
Oh yeah, see, yeah, it doesn't look properly at all. Oh no.
Right, I think we're there. A lot of orc forehead. Yeah, there is. It's a 5 head. That is, my man. I did just have it change back to normal then.
Well, I am afraid, sir, it is not currently having it.
What's with the orc 5 head, man? What is doing it? I'm a scrub. I have no idea. Right, I mean, I'm going to try and fix that in the background. As I said, I have no idea why it's doing that, but we are back again for a second stream with different mistakes this time, which are fantastic. Now, I think what we're going to do is start talking about the campaign. So I'll get the next slide up, which you're not going to be able to see too well. Just let me know when that's changed for you, Dan.
Yeah, wait with bated breath. Yeah, I can see a giant mess of a slide.
Is it still a giant mess?
It's a giant mess of a slide. Shall I persevere and continue anyway?
Yeah, if you just start talking about the campaign, I will continue to try and fix this in the background.
Well, the mission that we voted on is live. Our sister's planet is being attacked by erstwhile forces. Depends what you have at home. So we actually played the mission before we put it live. We used Chaos Space Marines actually opening a warp gate and all kinds of horrible gribbly monsters coming through, and the Chaos Space Marines were actually trying to attract the Tyranids to the planet quicker. And then what we wrote is we wrote a themed response of salamanders. So we had a number of salamanders in transports on one side, and then we had a foot slogging salamanders army on the other side. And then we decided that because we didn't really care, we actually used the Greater Brass Scorpion, which I can tell you now is a monster of a model on the old battlefield. It's the first time I ever used it.
Still under legend rules, or have they?
Yeah,
Got
it's
something
still
else
got
patched
legend
in there?
rules. It did not realize it had a 2d6 strength, 8 damage, 2 heavy flamer.
I mean, that ain't bad.
It was a pleasant surprise depending on which side of the table you were sitting on. Very interesting battle. Quite backwards and forwards, and hopefully, editing being allowed, it will be out next week. However, importantly, for the folks at home, you can actually download that mission and now play it. And then the idea is we will use that to influence the next series of missions.
Yeah, sorry, trying to get the actual thing up. I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, you've broken everything. It's alright, we've got 5 people now looking at giant orc foreheads.
As it bounces about.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry about this, guys. Just bear with us. I'll get it
Well,
sorted.
that seems to have moved. I don't know what the
For me, it's still looking very 5-heady.
Oh, now you've basically lowered it down by the looks of it, so it's now off the screen.
It's getting better.
It's a bizarre situation to be in.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, not brilliant.
Have you tried hitting it with a hammer?
What's this orc? He's trolling the crap out of me, I'm telling you.
It might be because there's not enough of us. Orc technology only works when there's enough people thinking
That's
it
what it
actually
is.
good.
So just give me 2 seconds. And I will. So, I mean, outside of that, what do you think of the Legends rules? Because at the same time, I remember you just absolutely finished that Brass Scorpion, and then we got slapped with them, which I imagine to a lot of people's dismay is not brilliant.
In this video,
I guess I can't really answer the question. I mean, it was an incredibly expensive model that I couldn't use anymore. I don't really know if we ever expected to use it very much. So I guess on our side, maybe that was mitigated somewhat. I think they really did just need to do something to balance out a number of models across the board. And I guessed that. Well, I'm just guessing that some of those. There was almost a back body of models that, especially now that we've seen Forge World get integrated with the main website, that they just needed to get rid of. So from the balance side of things, yeah, all right, fine. From the other side of things, it just obviously sucks hugely that you've got this model that you think, well, will I even put it on there? How much longer will it actually have rules for? How long till I have to turn it into a piece of terrain? And then I'll wait 20 years and the game will come back and I'll be able to use it again. I'll just have to make the base slightly bigger. You're still deep in concentration.
I am. I've come up with a temporary fix. It's a bit rubbish, but we should be there.
So it's an interesting thing with live. You can't not practice. You can't practice live.
No, you just have to get good and not be a scrub, which I'm very much.
What are you doing?
Very much a scrub. Don't worry. I'm hoping it should be that. It should be there for the minute.
Well, we can see it. That's for sure.
Right, that will do. Right, we're actually now on track to what we want to do. Not quite what I wanted, but we're there. So, the campaign, Dan. This is the mission that you wrote, and it's the Defense of Sanctus Dominus, which we wrote on stream last week, and here it is in the flesh. Obviously, a link if you want to play this is in the video description and in the Discord in the campaign section. If you just want to talk everyone through this now that I've done ruining it for everyone.
No, I've already talked everyone through it.
All right, so on to the next step. I was distracted. The campaign war zones. It was these two, wasn't it?
Yes. So I guess the next question now is to discuss how we're going to progress with the campaign from now on. And we've brainstormed, we've mind mapped, and we've had a think. We haven't completely, I think, penned it in yet. And what I think we've realised is that we had a great idea when we started 10th. We've got a lovely map that we can use, and it was the idea that people would be able to influence the outcome of the campaign.
Yeah.
Whereas in reality, because we're telling an overarching story of this giant Tyranid fleet heading towards the Forge world, the Fortress world, it probably isn't very apparent as to how people are actually influencing the campaign.
Yeah.
Or they're influencing the campaign in a very small way, or what we're doing is we're playing the same missions over and over again. The Tyranids turn up, Tyranids eat a planet, the Tyranids move on.
Yeah.
Which, after some consideration, is actually a little bit flat and a little bit boring. So what we want to do is we want to change that, make it a little bit more story orientated. I always like to think of the Godzilla movie. I don't know if you watched the Godzilla movie.
I have a rough idea of what happens, but no.
Well, the interesting thing about the cinematography of the Godzilla movie, if you watch it, is that the film doesn't really follow Godzilla. Right? Godzilla is this force of nature in the background that's just there. And it's actually more about people who are in the world while Godzilla is stomping around having a big fight.
Yeah.
And so the Tyranids are here. The Tyranids are causing problems, and there's going to be a big showdown at some point. But while this is happening, there's obviously a lot of heroic events. Same like the Ark of Omen is floating around in the red section. So these things are going on. But what we want to do now is start talking about the particular heroes, the particular musings of different factions within this larger warframe. And what we've discussed doing is the idea of breaking it into little chapters. And then we will focus a segment of the story for perhaps three story missions, which we will record as well, and we'll write live on the stream every couple of weeks. And they will have very tangible, this is what's going on, this is where it's going on, here's some missions for you to play, and if you don't have the faction, it doesn't matter, you can still get involved using other factions. And then there'd be some more apparent, this is what happens in the next mission because of the last mission.
Yeah, good. So to me that sounds a lot easier to follow than like some grand thing, because it's broken down into segments which obviously build into the grand story overall. Now, how did your mission actually go when you played it, or have you spoken through that? I was distracted, so I've repeated myself. Obviously,
in terms of without giving it away, in terms of what would you like me to tell the audience?
The best thing possible. But no, so obviously the custom mission where you had the defender in the middle, and then obviously the attacker on each side. I mean, who was it? Was it Chris playing the defender? You the attacker?
No, I was the defender.
Yep.
I was using chaos. The defender has quite an interesting advantage slash disadvantage scenario in that they are able to hide a portion of their army very well, but then because they deploy everything first, the defender, the attacker, then can see what they're going to be able to shoot and what they're not going to be able to shoot. The defender then has quite a strong advantage in that they can just send their whole army in one direction. So the attacker has to be quite careful about where they place what, because unless they are ridiculously fast, their army might find itself in a bit of a tricky situation. Ending a mission going, you just have to be holding 1 point is always quite a violent game.
Yeah, that's what you want.
There's no real holding back on those missions. I think I've now played it where I've been the attacker on one and I've been the defender on one, and it's a very different way of playing the game, whichever side you're on.
Yeah.
So quite enjoyed it. I don't know how Chris felt. We discussed it afterwards. The game took some interesting swings and roundabouts, but it was enjoyable.
That's what we're going to see. So obviously that game will be coming out some point next week, I imagine. Feel free to update if you have an accurate time, because Dan's editing that one. Now the thing is, although whatever the result of that game is, it doesn't matter. What's going to matter is what the majority of you do when you put in your game results, because that's what we want to see. We want to see you guys playing this down your local club with someone, playing with your mate. It doesn't matter what points level that you play, what armies that you use. And then get them results submitted, which once again the link for that is also in Discord. If you need any help with that, we can obviously drop you them links. It's just something that we're trying to push, and also trying to support in the correct way, because we've been a bit quiet on it in the recent month or two. Now that said, I'm just gonna slap this on one, and obviously just want to say hello to Weather This as well, all the way from Australia. That's crazy, man. What time is it over there at the minute? So I've got I believe this is the planet side, wasn't it, that we voted on last week?
Yes, it's not just flipped over yet, which is an interesting little delay. Are you looking at Sanctus Dominus?
Yeah, it should have just flipped over now on the stream for everyone.
It has, yep.
Right, brilliant. So I believe it was last week the stream voted on which way the campaign was going to go, and it became an Imperial defence. So the big map was up earlier, and these were the two sectors, and obviously it's gone to the relevant one. There's going to be more things like that coming up as we proceed and carry on with the campaign. Are you ready to move on for this one, Dan?
Well, it was whether we want to vote on which faction we use next.
We'll be doing that next week, because I want to give people another week to play. Bloody hell, 6:17 AM. He's up early. Well, cheers for tuning in, my man. Yeah, so next week's stream, I think I want to see what results we've got, and then we can go from there, because sort of giving people 2 weeks to play a mission and play a game and get the results submitted, I think is about right.
Yep.
Right, so just moving on. Before we get into the next bit, has anyone in the chat right now, have you been able to play this mission? Are you going to play this mission? Let us know, even if that reply is no, your mission sucks, I hate it. Let us know. Right, very general one for you, Dan. So 10th edition, what are your feelings and thoughts so far at this point in 10th edition? Because we've played it literally from its inception. There's been a couple of updates. Yeah, just want to know how you're feeling about it, and yeah, your thoughts on it, as well as yours.
I'm gonna let you go first.
Ah, thank you. Right, well, quite straightforward. I quite like the edition. There are some issues in terms of, I don't want to say the viability of armies, because I like my model collections. I don't care how good they are, but in terms of everything being able to fight everything on a level footing, that's slowly getting worked on, I think slowly coming together. The only thing I don't like as much in 10th are events. It seems every event you've just got this soulless MDF L-shaped terrain, and it's just sort of moved away from that hobby element where you have the really nice gaming tables, the really nice painted armies. And yeah, I just think 40k's maybe moving away from that a bit and becoming a little bit of an e-sport in a competitive sense. But certainly, you know, in games we've played, games I've played with other mates, down your local gaming club for the better part, yeah, really enjoying it. It's been and I mean, just even the launch box, like those Terminators are amazing. I'm painting my way for a brick of 10 Deathwing ones at the moment. Just finished up the line as well. Like, oh, there's a lot of goodness coming out with it.
I think there's actually lots of different ways of looking at the question, and actually answering the question. I think the base rule set's a lot better than 9th. There's nothing wrong with 9th, but I think 10th is even better. So the actual foundation of the rules, I think, is quite strong.
Yeah.
The people always like to talk about balance, so I guess I should just get that out of the way. I think it's not unfair to levy some criticism at the launch of 10th in terms of balance, and I could see why if you were a tournament player, you're fairly omnidirectional, and I don't think it's unfair to say that that was fairly slow to be corrected.
Yeah,
I think it's been a lot quicker than in previous editions, you know, going back to like 8th and 7th, in that they actually did fix it. But I think that with their stated intent to actually fix it, I think it was very apparent that Eldar in particular were absolutely busted. So, and a few other factions were fairly hard done to. Moving past that and actually looking at where the game is now, I think it's incredibly well balanced at the moment. You're pretty hard pressed. A good general with, if you swapped armies, will still win.
yeah, for sure.
And I think that's quite an interesting way of looking at the game. If you swapped armies and you think you would still win, then that shows you that it's probably a pretty decent game. I mean, in chess, you have a slight advantage if you're white going first, but essentially, if you swap seats, you've got the same chances of winning.
Yeah.
So 40k in that regards, I think, is in a much better place. And I think it's quite interesting looking at people who perhaps aren't as enthralled by their armies as they could have been. And if you, I think, look at it now, and I think there's a temptation to say I'm going to wait for my codex. But I think you're potentially just wasting 6 months waiting for your codex.
Or in some
or
cases,
a year.
maybe like half an edition.
Yeah, because to be fair, even if even this weekend, there's some 3 or 4 tournaments are actually won by Death Guard, who you haven't seen win tournaments for a very long time, let alone win 4.
Yeah.
So, you know, going back even into 9th, I didn't see many Death Guard players winning tournaments, and the fact they've won 9 over the weekend, and using a fairly robust lists, for sure. I mean, obviously they're robust lists, and they've got what you expect. They've got the stuff of things. They've got Mortarion and Plagueburst crawlers in. But then there's been differences within those. One of them's got Land Raiders and Predators. One of them's got Plague Marine and Rhino heavy. One of them's got a Land Raider in it with some Death Shroud. One of them doesn't have Mortarion in it. One of them's got some Knights in it. So I would rate them as one of the weaker factions, still doing quite well.
Yeah, and I think you touched on the point that there's a big knee-jerk reaction, I think, to a lot of factions where people are like, oh, this is trash, this is garbage. But actually, it comes down to it. If a really good player gets hold of it, they're going to make the best out of it. And what you need to realise is, are you trying to be the best player, or are you trying to have a hobby that you're having fun with? And with that, you've got to realise that you're going to turn up and probably win somewhere between 40 to 50% of your games in a normal setting anyway. with a slight probably 10% variation based on how good you actually are at the game. And just to bring it back to the chat, so yeah, weather this. I found 9th, especially towards the end, was getting very busy, where 10th felt a lot cleaner. Now with 9th, I really enjoyed it. And what I will say is, when you were playing it a lot, it was fantastic. Like, you knew what you were doing, your opponent knew what they were doing, and it was just rapid back and forth. However, it wasn't a game you could put down for a couple of months and come back to, because loads had changed. When you were trying to just gear up for a mission, it was taking 30-40 minutes, because people were going, oh, I've got to select 3 secondaries, I've got to select a second primary, there's a primary as well. Like, it was quite complicated to teach, and it was quite complicated to just pick up and play as I'm gonna play now and again. Whereas 10th, I do agree, was a lot cleaner. You draw some cards, you do what the cards say. Like, I do like that. I think it's much more friendly to get into and to pick up and play.
I think that leans us on quite nicely actually to the next point, which is the actual way the game plays. And getting rid of faction-specific secondaries, I think, was a great move.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it was just almost impossible to make that a balanced decision.
Like, I don't. Well, yeah, you will remember the Dark Angel one, which was literally, I'm going to sit at the back of the board on this objective, probably with a unit of infiltrators, so you can't even deep strike inside of 12, and I'm just going to get a max of 15 points from sitting here. There's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, and that might have been all right with the Dark Eldar army, which are made of paper. But yeah, so getting rid of that, I think, was just very, very clever. And I have found the secondary deck to actually be quite a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I've been very happy with that. I've really, really, really enjoyed that secondary deck.
Yeah, I really like this Leviathan deck that's going into 10th.
Yeah, not rolling victory points, which is what they did in 8th, whereby when you scored a card, you had to roll a dice sometimes to score additional victory points.
Yeah, I never like anything where you've got to roll a dice for the scoring, because it's just that it's too random.
Yep.
Like, you could be really far ahead, suddenly roll a bunch of 1s and 2s and then score nothing. In fact, they've changed it, where there's a mission in Heresy like that, where you could be on 4 objectives, and then at the end of the game you rolled for each objective, and one guy, he was like on 5 of the 6 objectives and rolled 5 1s and 2s, meaning he scored nothing, and the other player just rolled a 4+, which means they scored 2 points and they won. it was stupid.
That would be a bit harsh.
That one is called War of Lies, so I guess there's a bit more narrative to it there. But just to read through again, so Liam, one of my mates from work, won a tournament this weekend with Death Guard. My real question is why didn't you win the tournament with your Imperial Guard? That's poor showing. You should be fired. So should your mate.
You let him win.
But how on a serious note, how big was that tournament? Because it'd be quite interesting to know. Also, because it's yet another win for the Death Guard, but how big was the field? And yeah. But yeah, overall, I'm very happy with 10th. I'm interested to see where it goes. Interested to see what books come out next, and who the next raid boss is going to be.
Well, I've just finished the Fabius Bile Call book.
Oh, quite literally a book. Sorry, I meant Codex. But
the next book is Admech.
Is that confirmed? Is it? I've not seen.
Yeah, it's Admech next. Then it's Necrons.
Okay. Oh, okay. So 12-player event. So not massive, but still significant. Because I know we've done a few small events where Liam's been there, Dan's been there, Chris, who sometimes on the channels, has been there, and everyone's just got smashed. I think it was by Space Wolves who got smashed by, wasn't it, that event? Or at least Space Wolves won the whole thing. So yeah, it's still relevant. I'm saying if they're really bad, they wouldn't be top. They wouldn't win it. But yeah, I do quite like that. So from this point, I'm going to just click us over. So this is a little thing I just want to make everyone aware of. Obviously, you are aware that we do have a patron. No, this isn't us begging for people to sign up. What we want to do is just be transparent with a few things. because this is much like the campaign. There's just a few things that we've let slip a little bit or haven't quite been as good with keeping up with. So this is how it is laid out at the moment. Our most popular tier of captain at £3 a month. You get all the mission stuff, voting power when we put a vote up, the campaign tracker, which once again that ties in with the whole campaign pack which we have been releasing. That campaign pack is still going to be a thing, but we're also now switching it to, as Dan spoke about earlier for anyone that missed it, that 3-part system. You also get 4 entries every month into the monthly giveaway. So every month we're giving away 300 quid's worth of Games Workshop products. There's 3 winners. You can't win more than once in the same month. And so as a captain, you're getting 4 chances on each draw. And of course, a link to the captain's area in the Discord. The chapter master, much the same stuff, except you're getting 10 entries every month. Most of our chapter masters have probably already won a giveaway, if not 2 this year. So your chances are just higher, and the return's probably going to be a bit better. But now, just to be clear, there's a few things that we're going to be doing to tidy up. One of them is, as you can see, there's 2 separate areas, private areas on the Discord. To be honest, they're not being used too much, so we're going to fold all the paid for Patreon supporters areas into just one single area. So there'll be the public one and there'll be the private one, because I don't see any point in splitting it up further than that. If you do have an issue with that and you are paying, do let us know. That's mainly what we wanted to just cover with that, and then we'll get on to the final subject of the stream. You got anything to touch on with that, Dan?
Yeah, we need to change the chapter master one to 15 tickets.
Okay, cool. That'll be a nice change that'll come in. Any reason for it? I'm happy to do it.
Yeah, maths.
Okay, yep, you're down for maths. I'm really stupid. As you can see, I couldn't get a stream working properly, so that sort of sums it all up.
I wish you could get that many Centurion Devastators into that.
So this is very much the next subject of the stream, which is transports in 10th. Now, I'm not quite sure what the story is behind this this thumbnail, and if anyone knows, if they could let me know. I just pulled it off Reddit. It amused me, so on it went. I thought it looked quite typical with a list that Dan might run.
That's not fair.
If you could do it, you would.
Yep. That's not a question.
You bring 2 units of 10 Centurions and a Scorpius, or whatever that thing is.
But you won't let me buy Centurions because you don't like them.
They look awful. If anyone tells me they've bought Centurions because they like the look of the model, they can just get in the sea. It's a lie. It's I think it was at the end of the night when they became really good, and then suddenly you started seeing them. People are like, oh, I just love the models. I was like, no, you don't. No one loves them models. Games Workshop's probably silently discontinued them somewhere.
Are they plastic? I've never seen one.
Yeah, they're plastic.
They are actually plastic.
That was a proper kit released during the Primaris timeline.
That's not a Primaris model.
It was released like around that time of the Intercessor.
Oh, really? Wow, I wasn't here for that. At least I missed the dark days.
I think I missed it as well because it was like maybe 8th edition release, or yeah, it must have been 8.
I think they're older than that. I actually think they're older than that.
They might be. I'm a bit out of whack on such things. So, also anyone joining the stream, just let us know where you're tuning in from, how your day's going, and obviously your thoughts on 10th edition, so we can obviously feedback. And that's the other thing for those that have already fed back on that. Let us know your thoughts about transports, what your favourite transport is. Are they better? Are they worse? You can start this one, Dan.
Yeah, so I guess the question is, well, how do we want to play this? Transports in the game at the moment, do you need them? Are they vital? Which is the best transport in the game at the moment? That's not a question, it's very much a rhetorical statement. How do you use transports? And are you using them in your games? We'll start with the elephant in the room, so to speak. The best transport in the game at the moment is easily, and I'm confident when I say this, it is easily the Redeemer Land Raider.
I thought you were going
Because
Land Raider.
yeah, well, it was just lovely that Land Raiders are good again. You know, from the very outset of the game, Land Raiders, and I've got one for my Chaos Space Marine army. When I revisit my Chaos Space Marine army, it is definitely getting painted. Probably first. I didn't paint any vehicles for my Chaos Space Marine army when I started it, but now I'm painting about 5. The Land Raider is such a tough nut to crack. It's a really difficult vehicle to kill, and the Land Raider Redeemer is so very, very, very good because you would probably take it just as the tank without even having a transport capacity on it.
Yeah.
As a Salamanders player, to then be able to fit, and I should probably triple check before I commit to the cause. But as a Salamanders player, then being able to put a load of Gravis Marines in there as well is just horrible.
I thought it'd be really good personally. But
Well, all with
Appreciate that.
flamethrowers with an assault ramp. So you're driving across the board. Your slow ass Gravis Marines are then getting out. They're able to use their flamethrowers. They're able to use a load of mortal wounds. The tank itself is actually horrific as well, firepower wise. I think it's got something like 2d6 plus 6 hits.
The
The
flamestorm cannon.
strength, yeah, the strength goes
D6
up
plus
to
3.
yeah, and it's got 2.
That's pretty brutal. That.
Yeah, they're damage 2.
Yeah, that's. Oh my god.
It's strength 6, I believe.
Yeah, strength 6 APT damage 2. Yeah, I've literally just pulled it up in the codex now. The old Redeemer. Like I've seen the standard las cannon variant, but oh my word.
But the strength goes from 6 to 7 because you'll be in the Firestorm detachment, so you're getting +1 strength inside of 12 inches.
This thing's a beast.
Yeah, it's an absolute monster.
Hey, I've not I don't go there often enough, but I've not seen him down the gym. I don't know where he got these gains from. Like, this is crazy.
Well, it's got the Flamestorm cannon, so it's got 2d6 plus 6 shots. It's AP2 strength 7, flat damage 2, and then if you move near it, he overwatches you. The ignoring of cover means that you're nearly always going to be on an invulnerable save or a 5+ save. It's got a multi-melter, and it's got an assault cannon.
Twin assault cannon as well. Twin link.
Yeah, it's a obviously twin links, so you re-roll and everything. So I'd take this tank without a transport capacity. But the big thing is the 14 transport capacity.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, so it's better than a Land Raider, because the weapons in it are just more reliable. The 14 capacity means, and this is the huge thing for this about Salamanders in particular, is there's no way of getting 6 Gravis Marines, which is what you have to take squads of Gravis in. You have to take them in 3 or 6. You can't take 5 because the rules are stupid. And a captain. There's no transport that can actually take that.
And now there is.
Except for the Land Raider Redeemer. So it can move its lovely 12 inches. They can get out the 3. They can move the 4. So you're now looking at an actual scary Gravis movement. The Gravis Marines have got their flame cannons. They can use the free strategy to deal mortal wounds. Sorry, devastating wounds. And then they can charge you.
Yeah, that is amazing.
Yeah, you don't want me to paint this.
Well, I mean, there's also the Crusader variant, but yeah, the guns just on the Redeemer are better. Do you even have one to paint?
Sort of.
I'll make sure I'll extract that from your house before
Yeah, I thought that might be situated.
No, that'd be really cool. It's also really thematic for Salamanders. I really like it. Now, so that's obviously one of the best ones.
Yep.
I have to agree it is. Now, I was really hoping this edition that the Humble Razorback was going to see, basically see a re-emergence.
No, then he's going to bin.
but I don't think they are. Are they?
The transport capacity rules, I think, are. I'd love to know if they've done it by design or intent, but the actual way that transports work now, the mechanics for transports are fine. The way they work is fine. The move in, get out thing, the way they blow up, the way that you don't lose whole squads now when you roll ones, you just take a wound instead of losing a model. It's just nice for more elite infantry, which just feels fairer. So loads of really good stuff. And then the fact that you can only take squads in certain sizes mean that if they haven't thought about it a lot, you're really in a weird situation. So for example, Dark Eldar, squad size of 10, add a model on is 11. All of the transports for Dark Eldar have got a capacity of 11 or 22. So whatever squad it is fits in your transports.
That's nice.
But
Yeah.
for Space Marines in particular, but also for my Death Guard, like I can't fit my Terminators and a character in a Land Raider.
No, not a standard.
I can, yeah. So I've only got a standard one, right? My Land Raiders are old and rusty. There's no different varieties. So I've got my Death Strad Terminators, 3. I can take some more Death Strad Terminators, 6. Oh, they don't fit in the Land Raider anymore.
Yeah, it's the age-old one for me, which is even from 5th edition and before, which was 5 Terminators and a character and a Land Raider. But as you said, there's very few things which can come in 5s, and like especially with the Death Guard, you want your Death Shroud really.
Yeah.
They're either deep striking or they're in a transport, but that's not ideal for them.
No, and that really would have been very pivotal for the Death Shroud because they're so slow.
Yeah, well, the whole army is, right?
Well, yeah.
Now for myself, I really like the this for the Sisters of Battle. Now I quite like the Rhino. The reason being, you're paying 80 points. Your Sisters of Battle, despite their good armor save, are very fragile. So on average, you're going to be taking more wounds because of that low toughness. It's obviously now equipment's free, so you're putting on a Hunter Killer missile, which hits on a 2. On the Sisters vehicles. So,
I haven't passed a save against that thing for the whole edition.
Yeah, it's alright. I've not rolled more than 1 damage on it for the whole edition. So, and for me as well, because you can combine it with things like Dominions, which then give it a scout move, and you can basically almost use it to sort of slingshot your units a bit, or just keep them safe. And there's been a lot of games where you've had to put 4 or 5 units into the Rhino just to pop it. And
I think that tanks feel like tanks now. So
yeah,
even the transports, we were talking about this the other day, weren't we, with the Predator Annihilator? Predator Annihilator can't reliably destroy a Rhino in 1 round of shooting.
Wow. That's pretty scary, isn't it? Like,
yeah, Predator Annihilator statistically will not kill a Rhino in 1 round of shooting.
Yeah, and the Rhino as well, which is something I've not been playing, also heals a wound every turn, which would have made a difference at points. Liam, the faction I can see using the Razorbacks is Grey Knights, but the Land Raider is too hard to turn down. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Grey Knights actually with Razorbacks, that'd be really good because you could take like the 5-man strike teams and sort of keep them safe and just pop them out when you need them. Plus,
what is the transport capacity of a Razorback? Let's have a look.
Should be 6. I'll tell you right now. I've got the book in front of me as we speak. Yeah, capacity of 6. So that's not bad at all. 5 in a character.
I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think it just becomes point inefficient.
Yeah, it comes point inefficient, but you can have a very cool army. Like I remember, for me, it's like a nostalgia thing. Some of the coolest armies I used to see were like the in 5th Ed with the fully armoured companies where you had lots of tanks, all your troops were in Razorbacks or Rhinos, and it just looked awesome. But back then a heavy bolt was probably quite good. But the other one that's actually caught me by surprise, I'm surprised no one's using, is the drop pod.
I think that's just because we don't own one. I certainly think I think it's getting used.
You can have
but we
10 Adeptus Astartes infantry. The only thing it can't do is Wolfen, Gravis, Centurion and Terminators. So, you know, what are they called? Assault squad, not assault squads. Yeah, assault squads, the Primaris ones. Is that what they're called?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about, literally. Assault intercessors, that's the word. But yeah, like, you imagine an assault intercessor squad in that. Amazing. Even putting something horrible in it, like a flamestorm squad. Like the new flamer guys, like you're just dropping right in someone's face and dropping that on them. The turn.
The Infernus Marines, yeah.
Infernus Marines, thank you, that's the one. And then, yeah, sure, you're in their face, but what they're going to do? Charge you? You get cooked. You just get absolutely cooked. And sorry, Drunk said, yeah, I missed your message there. I'm a foot slogger, but need to add a few to the Green Wing Brigade of my army. Yeah, I mean, what transports were you thinking of adding? Because I should be talking about Dark Angels with Green Wing, but the thing with Dark Angels is a lot of the Green Wing tend to always be on foot, and then you'd get usually the Deathwing were mounted in their Land Raiders, and obviously the Raven Wing were zipping about doing their thing. I guess occasional Razorback or the occasional thing like that used to be seen, but I'm not sure what I'd take. Maybe Impulsors with the Infernus Marines or the Hellblasters, that could be pretty good. The
Infernus Marines, yeah, the Infernus Marines and the Impulsor. I need to. That's next on my Salamanders list, is to get two Impulsors painted, and then I do actually have a fully mechanized army.
Yeah, that's pretty evil, to be honest. I quite like it. So, I mean, with that in mind, I do like the fire instep thing, as you've touched on there, where you can shoot out of transports now, to some degree.
Yeah, Cabalites in the Raider, very good.
That's evil.
They've also changed a lot of profiles on guns now to just be assault 2. So, you know, a lot of the Cabalite guns are now reliably each 2 shots. So you're kicking out 18, 19 shots, not including special weapons.
Poison as well, aren't they? Anti-infantry.
Anti-infantry 3+. So even with no AP, 3s and 3s is it stacks up. I've actually killed models with my Cabalites now.
It's a rare thing indeed. Yeah, and as you touched on, the Impulsor, I think is just evil. I've not looked at the guard vehicles, like the Chimera, however you might pronounce it. I think that's got a bit of fire in step as well. I don't know if it's still there on the Stormlord, the massive Baneblade one. Used to be able to have entire squads fire out the back of that. That was pretty evil.
Let's have
But I mean, to bring it back in, like, yeah, I think 80 points for a Rhino is just crazily good.
in terms of just being a pain, putting a Rhino on an objective with 10 Space Marines in or 10 Sisters in, even if the Rhino explodes, dies. I mean, I guess the unit is battle shocked, but you can deal with that in your phase, so that's not really a huge issue.
No.
Transports are in many ways where it's at. If you want to go for a fully competitive list, there's a lot of lists using transports in some way or another. And they allow a modicum of safety, and your transports are not dying to infantry weapons anymore. Like, you used to be able to plink a Rhino to death with cheap shots, but you're not doing that anymore.
Yeah, it's also that moving where it's you know, much higher toughness, really good save. Yeah, like it was just that. I think you could even get it down to 4s or 5s to wound it very reliably in 9th, but now that's moving to like 6s the majority of the time when you're shooting it.
There used to be a lot of pluses to wound and a lot of reroll wounds.
Yeah.
And so at that point, even a tougher Rhino is starting to fall victim to rerolls. Whereas that is not happening.
Yeah.
You know, that's those rerolls just aren't there in the way they used to be.
Just looking here, Drunk Simeon, I'd like to move my Blade Guard up the front a bit faster. Yeah. Impulsors, Land Raiders, if Blade Guard can take them, I assume they can. That would look awesome. Because Blade Guard are still a tough unit on foot, but they're even tougher if you can't shoot them because they're in a toughness 12 Land Raider. And So the Stormlord has a firing deck of 24, Dan.
Yes, it does.
I mean, what could you even put in that could do that? Like what? I'm not sure. Like I think guard can be taken in squads of 20, but 24 I've not seen yet.
Let's have a, what's it called? Oh, I've got the Storm Blade. No, I don't want that. I want the Storm Lord, don't we?
What would you put in it, Liam? That's what I want to know. Liam's usually got the evil stuff. He's probably going to come out with something that I didn't even know was possible. Like, I'm going to put loads of Rough Riders in it with Melter Lances and do drive-bys.
Just put a Taurox in it.
Yeah, transport that can have transports in it.
Yeah.
Just
Wow, the Tyranids have got one that could do that for a while. I don't know if it's been corrected or not.
That's ridiculous. Oh, was it the flying thing?
It was the drop pod could carry drop pods.
Oh
So
yeah,
you
because
could
they're
play
like living models opposed to transports, weren't they?
Yeah, you can play Russian dolls with it because it's a monster and it can carry a monster, so it can carry a copy of it itself.
The reason that just gets silly is because then the question is, so if I put a transport in that's got a firing deck, does it then, infinitely go?
No, because it doesn't count as being on the board.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah,
I'm glad you got the answer to that question. Pretty.
Yeah, I got that one. Yep. No, you can't be that stupid. You could try to be stupid by having 50 copies of the same transport in the transport, but you can't shoot it. You could shoot the first one, but not the rest.
Yeah, that would be ridiculous. It's also good to see that 86% of you are enjoying 10th. I'm sad about the 14% which aren't. Let us know why that is.
Well, we're looking at the Storm Lord, right?
Yeah, Storm Lord.
That one with 40. I'd just put loads of weapons teams in it.
Yeah, Liam's just come back saying heavy weapon squads and or Ogryns. Ogryns are really good this edition. Not the Bullgrin, like the ones with the guns. Like, they are really good. I think they're also -1 damage inherently.
You could put 20 las cannons in that.
I think they count as 2, but
Yeah, that makes 20.
what, 24?
No, it's got 40 transport capacity.
I thought it had a 24. Oh no, it's firing deck is what we're looking at.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I know. So 12 extra las cannons is still scary.
Oh, what's this tank got? Oh, it's just really an infantry killer.
Yeah.
One turn later. Oh, shame they can't get power from pain, right? Get a reroll to hit.
It's 460 points though.
Once again, hello to anyone that's just tuned in. As you can see, we're talking about transports and ridiculous things that could happen. Let us know where you're tuning in from, and also let us know if you're enjoying 10th.
I have a question.
Go for it.
Why are the armored tracks only strength 8? Right, now life in the 40th millennium is not a nice place to live, but I think I would rather be shot by a las cannon than run over by a Stormlord.
Yeah.
Right, I'm not seeing survival as being particularly high for either one, but if I had to choose, right, I'd take the las cannon.
What, they just probably don't know it hit you, opposed to the 2 to 4
Well,
seconds and slowly crushed to death.
Yeah, I mean, the strength 12 is the old las cannon, but a Stormlord has got to be higher than strength 12.
Like, I guess the weight of it, I don't know how you work strength out in Warhammer, but yes, I imagine the tonnage of a Baneblade chassis to definitely be a bit more than a strength 7.
Yeah, it would be a bit rude, yeah.
I'm surprised that, on a serious note, I'm surprised some of the stuff isn't higher strength than what it is on vehicles in terms of the tracks. Because you look at something like a Penitent engine, they're striking at strength 10.
Because they've got power fists, isn't it?
They've got like chain buzz blades, they're called. And again, it would suck getting smacked with one of them. But once again, surely getting run over by a paint blade is worse. I suppose the other thing is you can probably put out a lot more vehicles. So I don't know if it's a balancing thing with tank shock, because tank shock's very powerful.
I think they're inconsequential strengths, because they're hitting on 4s. They're 1 damage each. So, you know, 6 attacks, 3s, 2s. You're getting 2 or 3 wounds through. Against Space Marines at AP nothing, damage 1. So it's almost just, it's probably not something they put a great deal of thought into.
No, they probably went, what was it, last edition?
Yeah.
Is it going to have any impact? The answer
Yeah,
is
whereas
no.
power fists on dreadnoughts and things like that, getting ramped up to strength big. And I really like Tank Shock. I really like the grenade stratagem. It's got a lot of potential. It's got a lot of playability. I don't know if it's a little bit too powerful, but that's by and by. The only thing I don't like about it actually is that monsters don't have a version that they can use.
Yeah, it's only vehicles, isn't it?
Yeah, so I think that to me makes it a little bit lopsided, because some armies have access to monsters, some armies have access to monsters and vehicles, and some armies have access to vehicles. And I think it makes it quite lopsided towards the vehicle heavy lists. So for example, if you take Custodes, they've got lots of dreadnoughts. They're going to be able to use Tank Shock. If you look at Tyranids, they've got loads of monsters that I would argue probably would hurt more when they charged you. But they don't have any access to Tank Shock, which I think is perhaps a little bit of a shame.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it makes some of the stuff out there a bit weird. Like, I know Primarchs are now monsters. So a Primarch tank shocking you could be quite scary. Like, maybe they've sort of been a bit liberal with the keyword. So if you did suddenly give it to tank shock to monsters, there'd be a lot of unforeseen things.
Yeah, and that's what makes me think. I wonder if, you know, as a design philosophy, they're obviously quite happy with it. But I wonder if they realised it would be as big as it is.
Yeah.
Because it's big, right? Tank Shock is a like, yeah, you know what? For my CP, I am going to get, what's the cap out at? 5 mortal wounds?
5 or 6 mortals for sure.
Yeah. So if you said, right, you use a CP, you know you're going to be dealing 5 mortal wounds. You know, there's a very high chance you're going to be doing 5 mortal wounds. You're happy. 5 mortal wounds for 1 CP. Good times.
Yeah, I'm down with that, to be fair. I've just seen something quite amusing. Could have a good use. You could put 10 of the new assault intercessors with jump packs in a drop pod. Do with that what you will.
Yeah, that works. Death Company, Sanguinary Guard.
I mean, they could deep strike anyway.
Difference between a drop pod and deep striking is what you can do with it afterwards. Drop pods can come in turn 1.
Yeah, they can. So that's what I was thinking. If you could get them into a crazy position.
Yeah.
Also, hello, Chris. Good to see you dropping in. What's your favourite Votan transport? Because I know you're obsessed with Space Dwarves at the minute.
I think the ultimate shame at the moment is that the best use for a drop pod is still just Devastating Marines.
Is it really?
Yeah, definitely.
How are you getting Devastating Wounds on a drop pod?
Devastator Marines.
Oh, sorry, I thought you said Devastating Wounds. I was like, what?
No. Firstborn.
Bomb someone.
Firstborn, yeah. Because the new Devastator Marines that aren't called Devastator Marines, the one with the Nerf guns, they're just not worth putting into a drop pod.
It also makes me wonder, because now with the Codex in my hand, so much Firstborn stuff is gone. I'm like, well, I don't really want to invest in anything from the Firstborn era, because I'm like, well, is it going to carry on being around?
Yeah, I think if I didn't own it, I wouldn't buy it. I mean, unless you're entering some kind of tournament and you love your tournament, which is absolutely fine. At which point, yeah, buy Firstborn stuff if you need that for your edge. But I would be staying away from anything on an old base.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously the drop pod model will stay, because it's what you use in Heresy now, and you know, lots of people are running drop pod assault armies in that, so the drop pod is still doing well. The model looks fine, because it's not like it's some tiny model, it's quite big actually. But yeah.
But even
Razorbacks
getting
and
rid of
stuff.
they moved a whole swathe of vehicles from 40k to Heresy, didn't they? You know, it's all the Leviathans, either Contemptor, that's gone.
Yep.
But we've gone off piste a little bit. I don't think that's a problem. Aerial transports, I think, are useless.
There's a thing, isn't
Don't
there,
think-
where they don't come in till like turn 2 and then you can't get out, right?
They don't come in until turn 2, and they come in at the edge of the board. I think they've pretty much just killed aeroplanes at the moment.
Yeah, I think for the last edition or two, they just don't seem to know what they want to do with them. It's also a reason, like, you guys won't have seen it on the channel yet, is I've got a fully painted Astra Militarum army that's Scions. All Tempestus Scions, all in Valkyries and Tauroxes, and in ninth it was just, they'd fly in, they'd jump out, they'd blow something out and get horribly murdered in return. They still weren't a good army, but you could still play them, you could still score really well. You'd just run out of resources by probably the end of turn 3 or 4. But that point aside, it's the Valkyries just got, I've just seen it get worse and worse and worse as a flyer transport, to the point I'm like, well, I can't actually really play that army because I can't do anything till turn 3. And I've certainly, and that kind of list doesn't have all the other good stuff Imperial Guard have, all the pushing power that you want. Like, you could add it in, but my point is I haven't got it because it's not the list I wrote.
I think they've just struggled to make them work. The ability to apply damage wherever you want, regardless, because the thing can fly. Coupled with the fact that they've got huge bases so that they can be used for move blocking, has just made them really hard. There was a point in ninth where the Archaeocopter, you just take 3 Archaeocopters and 3 of the Stratosphere bombers or whatever they were, and you just lock your opponent in the deployment zone for 2 or 3 turns, and they would be bombing you to death. The Void Raven bomber for Dark Eldar is another example of something or the Orc Fighter bomber, another example, whereby if the bases become a huge issue. So I think, unfortunately, in my opinion, they're too big and they don't work in the game. And I don't
like the Valkyrie is huge. It's like 2 Land Raiders.
Yeah.
I mean, it's awesome.
Beautiful models, really, really characterful, but especially since the borders got smaller, huge bases, really difficult to kind of get. Like, an aeroplane is I mean, you know, thematics is just probably a bit of nonsense, to be honest, in a way, and I recognise that, but airplanes don't even hang around very long, right? They tend to fly by and disappear.
Yeah, see you later. Like, it's
Yeah.
such a small area of a battlefield. Like,
yeah. So they've just never. I don't know, you know, it's a personal thing. I just don't think it ever worked for me very well.
Well, I think if they started not re-releasing, but releasing flyers, as it were, like they've decided, right, we're going to release flyers for purpose. Now, it makes me think of all the flyers that you could use in the Halo games. That kind of thing would work. It's like a very light flyer. You know, almost more like a hover vehicle than...
You want a kite? Is that what you...
You had like the Hornet, didn't you?
Yeah, you had the Hornet, the Pelican. The Pelican was the transportation, and then you had the Banshee.
Those kind of things, like things that sort of size would work, because obviously the Hornet had like your pilot of his machine gun and 2 blokes that could sit on the side and jump on and off. That'd be really cool for Guard, actually. Like,
you mean two madmen? You mean, or just had absolute death wishes because they're fighting the Covenant?
We're good to go.
Yeah. Let's stand on the side of this because that seems sensible, right? Every soldier ever has just hung off the side of a helicopter by the rails, like Arnie does.
Yeah.
And they shoot while they're doing it as well.
Space Vietnam.
Yeah.
Bushes are making noises.
But taking the mick aside, your points are strong. Yeah, that would actually work. But the the flyers are just the size of Land Raiders, and the monolith. And I have difficulty moving the monolith around the board.
You need to go to the gym then.
Well, it's not a strength based issue. It's I keep breaking the terrain.
Just kicking it out the way.
Yeah. So flyers are out. Forget about it. I can't see them. I think they've marginalised them to the extent that they don't work on purpose. And that's a much cleverer tactic, by the way, of getting rid of things than saying we're not using it anymore. Is to just marginalise it in the rules for 10 years until they say, yeah, we're not using it anymore. But no one's put it on the board for 10 years, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's a bit of a shame.
It's what they should have done with Firstborn, right? It's just make tactical Marines 3 points more expensive than a normal Marine.
Yeah, that's a whole other discussion at that point, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, and then
that's mad, mate.
Yeah.
Just touching on Liam's one, actually, I quite like that. The Blade Guard Chaplain combo in a drop pod is pretty good, especially if you rapid ingress it in. Then that's a great way of slinging them up the field.
Why would you rapid ingress them?
The drop pod.
You don't need to rapid ingress a drop pod. It can just turn up.
Depends how many you've got, but yeah.
You can use rapid ingress at the end of your opponent's turn. So if your opponent goes first, you can use rapid ingress on turn 1.
And then you can move and charge in your turn.
Then you can move and charge. Can you move and charge out of a drop pod?
You can charge but not move. You disembark from it.
You have to be 9 inches away, do you?
Yeah.
Is that after disembarking?
So you disembark but have to be 9 away.
Yeah, that does make a lot of sense then.
Well, that could be lovely.
Putting a Judicia, I'd put a Judicia in the squad because then you're going to charge. You're going to kill whatever you charge because Blade Guard are good, except to killing tanks. They're awful at killing tanks. And then you're probably going to survive getting shot because Blade Guard are tough. And then you don't want to charge the Blade Guard because the Judicia gives them fight first.
In fairness, a drop pod is 65 points.
What's the transport capacity of a drop pod?
12. No, I'm lying. I think it's 10.
Are you only allowed to put 1 squad in?
I think there is some rule somewhere which is very much like you can't. Oh no! I think you might be. I play it as no, but I think there was some weird thing you could do with sisters.
I'm pretty sure you can put 2 squads in there. So you could put a squad of 6 with a Judicia or Chaplain in, and then you could put another 3 in if you really wanted to go to town.
Yeah, if you wanted to be mean. It's 10.
Yeah.
It is 10.
Yeah, so you could have 10. Again, that's just that weird number whereby some squads are going to struggle to get a character in there. At 10 Assault Marines, no character.
Yeah.
See what I mean about that weird
it's
number?
Weird, isn't it? It's very weird.
Yeah, it just comes up. You're like, oh god, yeah, I just can't put character with my squad. Why can't Ragnar Blackmane launch a unit of Blood Claws?
For me, what I think it is, it's like the picture I have in my head is there's a drop pod assault going on, but there's just that one chaplain that's just a bit of a knobhead.
Well, you should just hang on the outside, like if he was on a Hornet.
And everyone's like, "Oh, lads, you fancy taking the drop pod this time?" Old Charlie the chaplain wants to join us. Oh no, we'll go on the Vanguard and just probably die. That's fine.
Yeah.
Who are we fighting? Tau? Right, yeah, off we go.
Yeah, it's one of those. I just find it one of those weird little, like a Rhino is 11, a drop pod is 10. Which drop pods do the characters use? Do they have their own drop pod? Is it like a luxury drop pod with 9 windows for them to look at?
In fairness,
they play Pac-Man on the way down.
I think there is actually only 10 seats modelled on it.
Well, there's no seats modelled on a Rhino.
Good luck getting 10 in there.
Yeah, it's an interesting discussion point. I feel like some of those little rules were just a little bit unfinished. Let me have a quick flick through because I had this actually ready. I'm starting to take aggro now from the 5th God of Chaos. Let's have a look. Orcs have got some great little transports. All the flyer ones we could ignore. We can ignore the £150 of Custodes transport. We can ignore the £325 Tyranid Harridan. The £1,200 Manta. I actually think a Manta is a board. I don't think it's a model. I think it's a board that you're supposed to play on.
Yeah, it is probably about the size of a board, and depending on what the rules are, you'd struggle to get it on the board at all.
Yeah, I've seen that used once, actually, by Titans about 3 years ago now.
I don't think you can use it.
It's got rules.
Yeah, I know it's got rules, but
The coolest transport is definitely the Squigoth.
oh yeah, man, that's awesome.
Something I haven't seen a lot this edition is Harlequins. Haven't seen Harlequins at all.
Good.
Good.
I don't like them. They should go back to just being a unit in the Eldar Codex instead of.
No, they've got loads of lore. Harlequins are amazing.
Yeah, they can have all that lore in the Eldar Codex.
They're in
As
the
a
Oda.
unit.
They're...
A unit and a character or two. There we are, done.
I think what they need is more units, and then they become a viable army.
It's a weird thing from 7th and 8th where they started splitting things into loads of armies. Like
Yeah, they've gone back the other way now, which is good.
There's a point where Scions had their own army book. They have one model kit.
Yeah, okay, that's a. I mean, Custodes are at the tipping point where they've got enough units outside of Forge World.
Oh, they just said, well, Harlequins don't exist as an army anymore. I've missed this.
No, they don't exist as their own army. They're in the Index Eldar, aren't they?
Oh, good. Where they belong.
Yeah. But I've not, to my knowledge, seen them being used. I can't think of seeing them being used at all. Maybe they're just unusable at the moment.
Yeah, maybe that's the case. But to be fair, guys, we've been talking for over an hour again. The goal is about an hour. So we're going to wrap up. Yeah, get wrecked, clowns. I agree. Thank you to everyone that dropped in. Once again, sorry for yet again another rocky start. Hoping week 3 will be the week of the beast. Now, just make sure you get your results submitted for that game. And obviously, there's time if you're not a patron to jump on the Patreon and get in for that triple monthly giveaway, £300 worth of stuff. It'd be silly not to be honest. But yeah, thanks everyone, and we will see you on the next one.
Thank you very much.
See you later. What the fuck?